Trevor fires from the back of the end zone. That ball is going to be caught for the touchdown by Brian Thomas Jr. What a throw and catch. He tiptoed along the end line. Touchdown, Jacksonville. Fires deep downfield. Got a man. It's Brian Thomas Jr. 50 in the Colts territory. 35, 30, 25, 10, 5. Touchdown, Brian Thomas Jr. Just went 85 yards.
He's a playmaker. That's what stands out to me. It's just not one thing. We all know he's fast. You know, I can't really point to his releases. I can't really point to how he comes out of his routes. He just makes plays.
Looking, steps up, fires to the back of the end zone. Brian Thomas Jr. Did he double catch it? Yes, it and touchdown. He bobbled it but hung on. Brian Thomas Jr. has the score, and Jacksonville is taking the lead.
Yeah, he's only going to get better once he masters his craft as far as his stance off the line and as far as come off the ball. You'll see in games to come, he'll get better, and even next year, he's going to be even that much better than he is right now. Right now, he's just getting his feet wet and showing us what he can do. So I'm looking for this guy to be a big-time playmaker for us in the years to come, and I'm glad to have him part of the Jaguars.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, good morning, everybody. Just give us another impact player like Brian Thomas Jr. in the first round of the NFL draft, and I think we will all be satisfied almost regardless of what position they play. Good morning, Tony Smith. How are you?
Doing well.
We are close, man. We're honing in on the NFL draft now. 4 weeks from today, we'll get to put all this discussion aside and we'll go, all right, we got Mason Graham. And, I'm kidding, Mason. We'll love you if you come here unless you disappoint us. And
I'd be excited
then we'll
about
turn
Mason.
on you.
I'd still be excited about Mason, but I can't do anything to convince you.
No, I mean, look, I'm not saying it would be a bad
I know. You've never said it would be a bad pick. You just like the depth of the defensive tackle. You don't love three technique at that spot.
I don't.
Right. Like, I get it. I know all the reasons for it. I'd still be excited.
I'd almost rather just take an offensive lineman. Now, I don't have the plan for where I'd play that guy right now, but trusting Cohen, Gladstone, Baselli to have a plan on that front.
I'm still I am very sure in my own mind that Mason Graham will likely be the best available player when the Jags are on the clock at 5.
Okay.
And I'm very comfortable with that being the
on
pick.
Your list.
On my kind of list, yeah.
Okay.
I have those two guys at the top that are kind of the blue chip guys, and Mason's probably third on my list, right? And if the two blue chip guys are gone, I'd be very comfortable with them getting a player the caliber that I think Mason Graham is.
Right. It is it. Going to be fascinating to see what they do, obviously. And, we'll never know exactly what their list is. I'm assuming whomever they take at 5, they'll say it was the highest guy we had on our list.
It'd be dumb not to.
Right. Because and the reason, though, that I don't love just the best player available, because there are always caveats to it. What the best player available? What if on your grading system, I'm not saying it would be the case, but let's say the Jaguars graded Shedeur Sanders as the best player in this draft. Just purely and forget what you have on the roster. Just give him the highest grade. You're not going to take him at 5.
No.
You're set at quarterback.
You have a quarterback.
Right. So there are times when, at certain positions, you're like, you can't do it. Best player available, sure, within reason. It's still got to fit your team and your needs and things like that. Anyway, happy opening day. Is it your opening day today?
Oh, yeah, 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Yep.
I wasn't sure because, not everyone usually plays on the first day. Dylan Denmark, how are you?
I'm great on this opening day.
Are you?
I'm kind of the same thing on Thursday. Baseball's being played. I might watch, might not.
Okay,
I don't know.
That's fine.
March Madness is tonight. That's kind of.
No, I got you.
I wish the baseball was starting at noon. I don't know why I got to wait till 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
Yeah, Rob Manfred's messed that up. You can't start. You can't have.
You would not be watching any game at noon today, Dylan Denmark. Tony,
I'd watch the Braves. I tune in for
if the Braves were on, but if it were Orioles Blue Jays today,
shot
at noon or 1:05 first pitch,
no shot.
No. By the way, the Blue Jays always do that where they have some sponsor. They start at 7 minutes after the hour, right? They've done it for years. Usually, if you look at their start time today, it's 3:07 for them. It's usually like a 7:07 first pitch for a night game in Toronto. I don't know who that sponsor is. 7-Up, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's truly something. I remember when they did that. It was years ago, and they've stuck with it. Yes, Brewers, Yankees. Of course, Dodgers and Cubs have opened up baseball for everybody out there. But regardless, I will be watching. I got some stuff to do today, so hopefully I'll be home close to first pitch.
Yeah, what time
today.
does basketball start today?
7 o'clock.
7? Is that
Last game's at 10.
Okay.
That's why the MLB has no games. It's 4 o'clock, and then the next game is like 10 o'clock.
Okay. What is the schedule? We got Maryland, Florida tonight.
Yeah, you got Bama, BYU at 7, Florida, Maryland, 7:30, and I forget what the last game is.
7:39 is what I'm seeing here on
that's what it
TBS.
is.
Arizona, Duke tonight.
Yep.
Arkansas, Texas Tech tonight as well. So on TBS. So Florida's on TBS. Florida's on 1010XL is where they'll be heard on the AM signal tonight, and you'll get our regular talk show programming as always on 92.5 FM. Today we are going with a question we kind of stumbled into at the end of the show yesterday a little bit, Tony. Just talking about, we talk all about Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter are these two elite non-quarterback prospects, right, in the draft, and we expect them to be gone. There are these different scenarios where maybe one or the other is available at 5. Wouldn't that be cool? But more than likely, they're both off the board by 5. Well, what if, in addition to them, Mason Graham is also off the board? And we said that may be the scenario that intrigues us on like an Ashton Jeanty at that point in time. So today, you can presume Mason Graham's available. But for purposes of our poll today, please do presume that Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter are not when the Jags are selecting. And what if they did turn in the card for Ashton Jeanty? How would you feel about that? That's your Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. Which of these would best represent your reaction if the Jags took Jeanty with the 5th pick in this year's NFL draft? Your options that we gave you, and pick the one that fits best or closest to how you feel. Great. We need offensive weapons. In other words, whether it's Jeanty or maybe it could be Tet McMillan, or we just need playmakers on this offense. We let a couple of them go. We got Brian Thomas Jr. That's fantastic. We can upgrade everywhere else. Or option 2. Okay, best player available. I'm not going to get into the quarterback angle of this necessarily, but that could hold for just about any position you take. If he's just simply the best, do we really need a linebacker? Well, if he's the best available, do you just take that guy? Option 3, come on. We need linemen. We know what this draft is about. Well, you also have 10 picks, but if that's how you feel, whether it's offensive lineman, defensive lineman, could be Mason Graham, could be Will Campbell, could be Armand Membu, could be, I don't know, wouldn't that be a surprise if it was another lineman who's not one of those guys? Or option 4, running back at 5 would be so dumb. Now, that could be for a couple of reasons. Just traditionally, the value of running backs you feel like has been falling off, but particularly, this is supposed to be a historic running back class, Tony. But at the same time, Ashton Jeanty, by a lot of people, has a lot of separation at the top. Some have said, like, Jeanty has much more separation between him and Omarion Hampton than Hampton does with the rest of the running back field. Yeah. You know, and that if it is truly a generational class of running backs, you know, generational, here it is, dirty word around these parts now. But, and if Jeanty stands out that much against that class, that's even more an argument for considering him that highly in the draft.
Yeah, look, I think you can make a pretty good argument for all 4 of the kind of answers that we have to the poll question today. My answer would change if Mason Graham was or wasn't available. Okay. That really does have a big impact on my answer to this question today, because he would be, again, that 3rd guy on my list. That's obviously higher than Jeanty would be. So for me, that would play a major factor in how I would answer this question.
I kind of feel like the way the question's set up, you can presume he is available.
Right,
like,
and that's what I'm saying.
Carter and Hunter.
That's what I'm saying. It's with me assuming that Mason is available in this scenario, Mason would be the direction I would go with the 5th pick, and that's why I would answer this poll question today the way that I'm going to answer the poll question today. But I can understand someone feeling Jeanty, the way he's being talked about in a draft where virtually there are 2 guys that are being talked about as really those blue chip type guys. Jeanty as a running back is a blue chip prospect, right? Like there is a difference between him and all the other running backs in this class and what he's expected to be the moment he walks into the league. I get it, right? Like he does feel like, you want to use generational, however you want to describe it. That's the way he's talked about. That's why there's not a whole lot of people that are blinking when he's being connected to the Raiders so much at 6, right? Like me, my response, my reaction, if the Raiders do call his name at 6, is going to be, all right, whatever. Like that's going to be my reaction to them doing it, which paints probably my reaction to the Jags doing it at 5 in reaction to the question of the day today. But it's not like that seems to be the league reaction to Jeanty being the guy that may wind up with the Raiders at 6. It's almost expected.
It is expected,
right,
I think,
at this point, that he's going to go 6.
And if it's not him and maybe Dallas making a move to get him, or if he falls to Dallas, that would be the backstop. A lot of people think Chicago would jump on him there. So these other teams, and look, granted, all these other teams are in different circumstances.
No doubt.
The Raiders don't have Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby. They've got a whole pile of nothing back there.
Yeah.
Zamir White, and who do they have? Amir Abdullah, Alexander Madison's gone, I believe, for that team. So they don't have much on the depth chart at that spot. But, look, again, I'm not trying to convince you that Ashton Jeanty is the pick.
No.
We're more interested in how you, the listening audience, feel about that if it were to go down that way. Matt Miller, 7-round mock. We'll pick that apart a little bit over at ESPN. Got a lot of respect for Matt Miller. Don't agree with all the selections he made, but when will you ever agree with all the selections in a mock draft unless you did it yourself? Brian Sexton, longtime voice of the Jaguars, going to lend his voice to the program and tell us how he thinks the new regime has done in terms of their operational methodology. Getting a little fancy right there. But how do they do in free agency, and what does he anticipate coming up? How would he feel about the Jags going with a smaller guy like that off the board? I think a lot of people would be okay if it was Tet McMillan. In fact, I wonder that one, Jeanty versus McMillan, head-to-head. I feel like there's immediately a bigger need at wide receiver for me. But, again, Etienne is going into his 5th-year option season. What's the future look like at that position? And you can presume if Jeanty, I heard today, Jeff said, and he's not the only one, Jeff Prosser, he wouldn't be surprised if they trade Etienne before the draft. Who's going to give you much for Travis Etienne?
So you're getting a 6th max.
In this year's running back class, when you can get cheap labor all throughout for multiple years of what you're going to pay Etienne on the 5th-year option this year. I don't think there'd be much of a market, if any, for Travis Etienne, honestly. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I've been wrong about plenty of things. But there you go. Those are some of the things we'll be getting into today on the program. We welcome your feedback at 641-1010 on the phone lines or the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. You can hit us up in the YouTube virtual studio chat if you like, or on social media at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, and at 1010XL Denmark.
That man put his hands on me, I would have immediately swung. Immediately.
Which is another topic, right? Could Dylan take Cam Little, do you think, Tony? Dylan's I don't know, skinny is almost like an insult to a guy, right? He's a lean guy, our Dylan Denmark.
I have no muscle.
You don't have a lot of a girth on you. You seem like you're all wiry, like you should be all muscle because you don't have any fat on you. Could you take Cam Little, do you think, in
Probably
a one-on-one?
not. Nah.
That's what I'm thinking. I think there are people in our audience who definitely could take an NFL kicker. Sorry, Scobie, and some of you. I know the kickers like to spend some time getting those fancy bicep muscles going because they've got all that time. They kick like 12 balls in practice and they stand around. But I don't know. Stephen A. Thinks he's going to swing on LeBron James, apparently.
If he would have done it.
If he were to have put his hands on him.
That's an important fact.
I think we all believe Stephen A. in that regard, don't we? All right, let's come back. Let's pick apart what Matt Miller put together in terms of 7 rounds of drafting, 10 selections for the Jaguars. I'll say this. He hit the needs. Right? I don't necessarily like the players and the combinations he put together, but there's some I don't know enough about to really weigh in on that. But he did hit a lot of needs for this football team. We'll pick that apart when we come back in a moment. Brian Sexton about 20-ish minutes away. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark here with you. You're listening to Jaguars Today. Keep it right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
You're at the home of the Jaguars in the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Door Studios. Superior products, exceptional service. Here's another look behind the microphone at 1010XL with Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
You know, there's always one guy in the locker room who's going to run around snapping towels at the other guy's privates. I guess that's going to be you.
Mornings on 1010XL.
At least we know. Game on.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Enjoy a little madness. This 1010XL March moment is brought to you by Garber Auto Mall. We can wiggle it.
One last try for the Bruins of UCLA to get into the Sweet 16. Knocked out last year in the first round by Tulsa. They don't want to lose this one. Empty going the distance.
At Garber Auto Mall, we can wiggle it.
Jacksonville, get ready to spice up your night at One Night Taco Stand. Every Taco Tuesday, enjoy their mouth-watering tacos for just $2.99 and get your weekend started with 2-for-1 house margaritas. Find fresh Mexican street food, stiff drinks, and fun vibes at One Night Taco Stand with 3 Jacksonville locations in Mandarin, Orange Park, and Southside at Bay Meadows.
You're locked into Jaguars Today Thursday with Cannons of Jacksonville.
Greenlaw Group is for the insured. If you think you have roof damage, call 904-302-7055 today, and they will schedule you a free roof inspection. Trust their law firm to help you fight your insurance when you need it. These storms can cause damage you may not even see yet. Call Greenlaw Group, 302-7055. There's no cost to retain their law firm and no cost to have your roof inspected. They only get paid if you win. Greenlaw Group, for the insured.
I'm Max Fink. Join me for the Gator Report on 1010XL as I break down the latest storylines in Gator Nation.
Put together by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
Go, Gators! Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Want to grow your hair back?
IHRS, right here in Jacksonville, is the only hair transplant clinic in the country that offers multi-unit hair grafting, FUE NeoGraft hair transplants, and the 45-minute effective PRP treatments.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
Thank you, IHRS.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Schedule a free evaluation and find out how to grow your hair back and keep the hair you have. Call 904-777-IHRS. Take the first step to restoring your hair today. Visit hairforme.com.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
IHRS has been restoring hair for men and women for over 30 years.
Call now for a free in-person or virtual evaluation. 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Or visit hair4me.com.
Warm weather means the beach, fishing, golf, and more. Make sure to drop into Daly's and grab a cold case to go. From Bud Light to their seltzer, from Mick Ultra to Modelo, or your favorite crafts like Old City or Sweetwater. Grab and go at your local Daly's. What is the coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth? The answer next.
There's always a good reason to compare homeowners' insurance rates. You may be paying too much. Protect your home with a Southern Oak insurance policy today.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The coldest temperature ever recorded was in Antarctica in July of 1983. An unbelievably cold minus 128.6 degrees.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
At the First Coast YMCA, you'll find much more than just a gym. We offer many ways to help you become more active, reach your weight loss goals, and find your inner strength. Membership at the Y includes state-of-the-art facilities, a huge variety of fitness classes, and programs for all ages. It's easy to join the Y since it's affordable for all incomes. The Y is a great place to make connections and experience something new. Visit the YMCA near you or online at fcymca.org.
The Edwin Watts Golf Hour will meet you at the green.
Blue skies, fresh cut grass, birds chirping.
The Edwin Watts Golf Hour.
Grip it and rip it.
Get tips, tour notes, and the latest gear Saturday mornings at 10 on 1010XL. 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, Tony. Magically, Will Campbell, the LSU lineman, had his arms grow 3/8 of an inch over the last few weeks since the combine. He got measured again yesterday, which is a little weird because he says nobody really cares about my arm length. Then why did you get it measured again? Because you felt like they did you an injustice at the combine. If nobody cares, then you wouldn't be getting them measured. I get his point. He goes, for the last 2 years, nobody said anything about my arm length. They just said how good of a player I was. So now all of a sudden my arm length decides if I'm good or not. I think it's BS. But this one, any decision makers in the NFL, they don't really care. It's all people who don't coach, and they don't coach for a reason. Well, some of the ones who don't coach are the guys they call general manager, who had it been a guy here who was temporarily still the general manager this offseason, Tone. Mm-hmm. Arm length, I wonder if we would have said, Trent Baalke not going to draft Will Campbell. Absolutely not going to draft Will Campbell. We talked
about him when it got brought up the first time.
Right.
It's not a Baalke thing. That doesn't make Baalke right.
No.
But it also doesn't mean that it's not a reality in the NFL that some guys feel that way.
Correct.
Now, they may only be disadvantaging themselves in the end with some of these players, but it's not like nobody in the league feels like these kind of measurement things matter. Some of them do. Just reality.
Historically, there are guidelines for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, there's a certain point where it matters, right? If you can't reach out and get your hands on a defensive lineman's body before he gets his into you consistently, it's going to be a problem. But does 5/8 of an inch, a half inch, an inch, either way matter? I don't know if that little degree matters. So at some point it matters. Maybe it doesn't matter for Will Campbell, who was able to thrive in the SEC. So that aside, today, again, you can weigh in on our poll on Twitter about Ashton Jeanty. We gave you 4 options. How would you feel if the Jaguars selected him? 2 are positive, 2 are negative. That's generally how we do that. And they're, more extreme ends of the positivity and the negativity on there as well. So you can cast your vote if you haven't already. Let's take a quick look here because that's all we have time for. Matt Miller's 7-round mock at ESPN. He's one of the guys for years been doing 1 or 2 of these in the cycle, and I've always looked for them when he was at other places like Bleacher Report. You always sought him out because not everybody puts in the work and has the knowledge to pull off a good 7-round mock. Like we do them every week. I don't know if mine's any good.
No.
Right? I'm picking players and based on, a little write-up at PFF. So I'll give him credit. He knows these guys. He goes with Mason Graham for the Jags. I don't have an issue with that in this mock. And he had the 2 quarterbacks, Carter and Hunter, were off the board. Right? So it's kind of what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Mason Graham, fine with that. But then it's like, it's a Masonic lodge we're building here, okay? We got Mason Smith. We got Mason Graham now. We're going to take Mason Taylor with pick 36. And I will give Miller credit because, most of the sites you see Mason Taylor's projected as a 3rd-round selection, the tight end out of LSU, if you don't know who he is. He has him ranked 39th overall on his big board of he has a board of 50 prospects that he puts out and updates pretty frequently, and his most recent one, I believe, has Mason Taylor ranked 39th. So this is not a reach by his evaluation. He said the Jags' release of Evan Ingram indicates a rethinking of the type of tight end they desire. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what it indicates, right? Like, so here's the guy who is paying attention and seems to get it. Taylor brings the seam-busting ability of Ingram, but he showed strength in run blocking and an ability to play in line at LSU. I considered wide receiver here, but the value and scheme fit of Taylor are too good to pass up. Having ranked him 39th, I understand why he feels that way. That being said, if they were to take Mason Taylor, who I don't know how he may be the top pass catcher at tight end for the Jags, Tony, how productive is that position going to be?
Not very.
In the Liam Cohen offense.
I don't think look, we've talked about it plenty. The way they used the tight ends in Tampa last year, they were featured when a wide receiver or two was hurt.
When both were out.
Right. Like that's
Kate Otten had a 3-game run.
Right. That's when they got featured. And I think I'm not saying that he can't run an offense where he features the tight end. Obviously he did it when he had to.
But we know who's getting featured here.
Right.
It's
But we
Brian
know
Thomas Jr.
Yeah, though he said it multiple times.
Absolutely.
Now. It's running through BTJ. Like what they do in the pass game is running through Brian Thomas Jr. I like the write-up here from Matt. Like,
I do too.
At least that he's acknowledging the reality of what's happening in Jacksonville. I think it's harder for people outside of Jacksonville to completely grasp how small the role of a pass-catching tight end is really going to be in the Jacksonville offense, and I expect it to be small. I don't expect them to. It's why we saw them do what they did, letting Ingram go, bringing in 2 more tight ends that match their Strange Jr., right? They're Strange with less talent, doing the things that Strange can do. Strange is fine. If he's your number 1 tight end and you go into the season and you have to feature him when you need to feature a tight end, fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And I don't think the offense gets hurt at all with Strange being projected into that kind of role for the football team. So I can understand people looking at it and seeing a hole on the roster because they let Ingram go and they brought in 2 workman tight ends. Well, I think they're looking more for the workman tight end.
That style.
Right.
Yes.
At least he acknowledges that. I think talking about the things he did with Taylor are not out of bounds, right? If they're going to look at a tight end at the prospect. But I think at that point in the second round, I just can't see it.
I thought Dan Hicken had a great question today on the drill.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Mason Graham and Mason Taylor or Tyler Warren and Kenneth Grant, the Penn State tight end and the other Michigan defensive tackle? If you flipped them and you took the tight end first and the defensive tackle second, I think I'd rather have the Warren-Grant combo than I would the Graham-Taylor combo. I may be laughed out of every scouting department in the NFL. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. I think Tyler Warren's the clear top tight end in this class, and he's a two-way guy, can do a little of everything, and I think Grant fits more what they need on the defensive line, so I'd probably go that direction. It's a good question,
yeah,
though,
it's
right?
put me in a box because the tight end's involved with it. It's like, I got to suck it up and take a tight end.
Right.
With
but
one of these premium picks. But if I had to, I'd probably go Graham Taylor.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'd probably go the other way. And again, I don't anticipate it going that way, but who knows? We don't know what they're thinking. We have no idea. All right. So that's just the tip of the spear there. We'll get into some of the other selections from Matt Miller and see how he thinks the Jaguars' needs line up with the available talent throughout the draft. 10 picks, so we got plenty of opportunities, plenty of bites at the apple, as they like to say. But we're going to take a break right now because we're going to come back with the longtime voice of your Jacksonville Jaguars, Brian Sexton, to lend his expert opinion on how he thinks the Jags have moved and shaked so far throughout the offseason since getting Liam Cohen, James Gladstone, and Tony Baselli installed in their respective positions in the coaching staff and front office. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark with you. Brian Sexton on the other side. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
Top Dog Tavern is your gathering place for family and friends, offering something for everyone. Want a delicious meal served with a smile? We have you covered. Shareable appetizers, hot and crispy wings, juicy tavern burgers, fresh salads, plus a large craft beer selection. And there is nowhere better to watch all the big games than on our multiple TVs. Enjoy great food, cold drinks, and good times at Top Dog Tavern, located in Bartram Park off Old St. Augustine Road.
He's the life of the party.
Let's all get down, get funky.
Joe C.
I do voices.
Join the radio party.
Play that funky music, white boy.
2 to 4.
Let's play this backwards and see if it gets any better.
On 1010XL.
St. Johns County parents, does your kid have energy to burn? Want them to play a sport for their middle school? Sign up today for the St. John's Middle School Athletic Association. Spring pickleball, tackle football, dance, and cheerleading. Who doesn't want their kid to be the next NFL quarterback or dance floor diva? Hurry, time is running out. March is almost over. You know how fast your kid can go from playing Xbox to practicing their touchdown dance or sideline cheer? Sign up at sjmsaa.org. sjmsaa.org.
Jaguars Today Thursday is hitched to Cannons of Jacksonville for all your towing needs.
At Performance Painting, we've spent decades protecting commercial properties with durable, long-lasting coatings. And we can bring the same expertise when painting the exterior of your home. With industry-leading materials and a proven process, we extend the life of your home, reducing maintenance costs and preserving its value. Now, for a limited time, save $500 when you hire us to paint your home's exterior. Just mention 1010XL. Go to performancepainting.com to schedule a friendly estimate. Performance Painting. Repair, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting. A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to our website, CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com, and let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
One of the best things about being on the First Coast is standing at the center of the golf world.
Yes, it is.
Brunch with a Tour.
Tour news, tips, and inside info. Brought to you by
Clearwater Irrigation. 8:30 Tuesday morning on 1010XL.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwood Jewelers. Clayton, you are a sixth-generation jeweler. What kind of watch do you wear?
Frank, I think I've told this story 1,000 times. The watch I wear is a Rolex, and here's why. When my grandfather gave me a gift for graduating from college, he said, I want you to have something that you'll always remember me for. And he gave me a Rolex watch, and some 35 years later, it still runs and looks as good as it did the day I got it, a day I'll always remember. This might be the right time for you to create the same kind of memory, and nothing does it better than a Rolex from Underwood's. Whether it's a lady or a man's, the Rolex Oyster has the classic good looks and incredible durability and accuracy that make it the watch people want to own. And at Underwood's, all of our Rolexes come with a 5-year guarantee.
Underwood Jewelers in San Marco, in Avondale, and at the shops of Ponte Vedra. Underwood's, serving excellence since 1928. Underwood Jewelers.
We're giving away free AC inspections to our wonderful customers who now call and schedule. But you must act today. A deal this good won't last forever. Call 904-862-6769. DuckDuckAC.com. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
The housing market is as busy as ever on the First Coast. And if you've moved in or moved on, make sure you have a team of trained electricians ready to help. American Electrical can make sure you're up to date electrically and maximize your living experience. Smart home automation services, home theater systems, outdoor and dock lighting, and backup generators. American Electrical can do it all. A team you can trust with highly trained technicians ensuring you have the best living experience. American-Electrical.com, a leader on the First Coast and powered by professionalism.
Hi, it's Rick Ballou. I hope you'll join me and some former NFL players for an incredible event at the end of March, the Lone Warrior Foundation 2025 Champions of Hope Charity Golf and Tennis Challenge. March 31st at Marsh Landing will support single-parent families in their fight against cancer. An opportunity to win sensational prizes, but more importantly, we will bring meaningful hope and support to the lives of families affected. To sign up, go to LoneWarriorFoundation.com. That's LoneWarriorFoundation.com.
If you're heading to the Og or you're already part of the nation's oldest, don't forget to drop into Sunset Grill. For over 30 years, serving up great chowder, seafood, wings, and cold beer. Sunset Grill, somewhere on A1A, St. Augustine Beach.
This is Greg Huntington, a.k.a. The Mangler. I'm on the winning team at Waste Management. WM is the largest sustainability company in North America. If your business needs sustainable environmental services for waste removal and recycling collection, then you can count on the industry leader of WM to deliver results. Your services will be completed in a timely, safe, and eco-friendly manner. Go to WM.com/Duval. That's WM.com/Duval and get signed up today. If anyone can talk trash, it's the Mangler.
The 2025 NFL season is right around the corner, and the Jags are building something special. A fresh team, a new culture, and a stadium that's going to change the game. Be there to witness head coach Liam Cohen and the rest of the coaching crew in action and secure your place in line for the stadium of the future with your 2025 season ticket membership. Visit Jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. We can't wait to see you at the bank this fall.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, as we continue through the offseason for the Jags, 4 weeks out from the first round of the NFL Draft, thought it'd be a good time to catch up with Brian Sexton, senior correspondent for Jaguars.com and all things Jags. And he joins us right now on Jaguars Today. Brian, good morning. How are you?
Mike, how are you? I'm good.
We're excellent, man. What's your all-season like right now? Like, what's the last month-ish been like for you?
As of right now, I was helping my wife this morning, sitting at one of her real estate listings while someone was fixing the chimney. While I was there, I was working on my speech, Finding Your Frequency, which I am out marketing, and coaching one of my sons through a job interview. So, you know how it is. You just kind of juggle balls in the air, and Tuesdays I spend doing a lot of Jag stuff, and the rest of the week I spend waiting for Tuesday.
Hey, it's a good time to be Brian Sexton then, it sounds like. So,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, just overall impression, Brian, and all we're seeing, maybe you see a little bit more than Tony and I do, but in terms of Liam Cohen, James Gladstone, Tony Baselli, the vision that they've laid out, how they want to work together, what they're doing now to lay some of the building blocks. All we've really seen is this free agent class, but what's the sense you get in terms of them executing things the way they described they wanted to?
You know, they're doing things their way. There are some processes that I have come to know through, 30 years of covering draft preparation, and just here, there, and asking, hey, when does this happen? When does that happen? Well, I'm not sure it's going to happen. They put more value in other areas. I can't be really specific other than to say, that they seem to be doing things the way that Gladstone worked with the Rams and with Les Snead and that crew. I'm not in the room. I don't know for sure, but just kind of anecdotally talking to people, they're approaching this draft in a different way, which is why you hired them. You hired Gladstone because he brought in a very analytical approach, and I get the sense, again, it's very rough around the edges, but I get the sense that Gladstone and Cohen and Baselli are out there charting a new course, even though we don't see it. Because, let's be honest, none of us are ever in the draft room.
Right.
How much, in your opinion, Brian, has the urgency to upgrade the offensive line changed, if it has, after what they got done in free agency?
My sense in talking to people is they feel good about what they've done. So much so that, they're not going to force the issue on the offensive line until the player presents himself. I have said on Jags AM that I would love to see them grab the big offensive lineman from Missouri at number 5. He's a guy who can play tackle. He can play guard. He's got elite power. And I was told, hey, don't be so sure that's their approach. They like what they got done in free agency. They're not going to force anything in this draft. So I don't think they have a great sense of urgency. Now, they have a great sense of urgency to keep Trevor Lawrence on his feet, to keep him healthy, to keep him protected. But I don't think they're going to sit there at 5 and say, well, we got to get an offensive lineman. This really feels to me like a catch-as-catch-can in the draft. Listen, and you guys know this, you've been around. The Jaguars going back to 1995 when Tom Coughlin built the first roster, they have had cap room and they have used it in free agency. They have used free agency to build this roster. And they had to this year to get guys that fit what they wanted to do, to lift the floor, as James Gladstone said at his post-free agency press conference. But for the first time in a long time, it feels like the we're going to build through the draft mentality is their personality, that they're actually going to make the draft their priority.
Yeah, and they do have 10 selections here, Brian. So, no matter what they do, not everyone's going to be happy with the direction they go with the 5th pick in the draft. But, if they pass on the position that you think they should address, then they may address it in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, whatever the case may be. How would you feel, though, presuming Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter are off the board? And I don't know how you feel about them, but a lot of people think they're the 2 best non-quarterbacks in the draft. How would you feel? Okay, how would you feel if they went for an offensive skill guy there? Today we're talking about Ashton Jeanty, but it could be a Tet McMillan, could be a Tyler Warren, the Penn State tight end. What would you think of that decision if they just simply felt like that guy was a great fit and he was the best player on the board?
This team has struggled to score and needs the points. If they took an offensive playmaker, count me all in. And if it's Jeanty, the running back, listen, I've heard the comparisons to this guy being a LaDainian Tomlinson kind of player. Who doesn't want LaDainian Tomlinson?
Right.
Did they remember what he did in 2006? I get it. The running back position doesn't hold as much value as it did back then. But the guy is nothing if not a scorer. I would take that. I said on Jags AM this week, we did a little exercise. Who would you want? Beyond who you see in the mock drafts, who's the guy that you'd love to see in teal? Give me Tyler Warren. I'm not a big college football guy. I more watch it in the spring as I'm going back and looking at players. But I did turn on Penn State a couple of times this year and loved watching Warren with the ball in his hands. I liked watching where they moved him around the formation. I give me Tyler Warren. I think that would be great. I am of the opinion that this roster is good, but not great. So if you give me a better player at any position, I'll be happy. I would take any of those guys.
Given what they did get done in free agency, we've talked about needs for the team, obviously, since the season ended and before that. But they've had free agency now to address some of these things. We talked about the urgency on the offensive line not being at the fever pitch it may have felt like it was 2 months ago, right, with the additions they brought into the building. So going into the draft, Brian, what do you feel like are the 3 most urgent needs for this football team to address?
I think they need somebody in the middle. Now, that could be Mason Smith and Jordan Jefferson, who take a big step up at defensive tackle from last year. And they're talented guys, and that's certainly possible. But if they went for Mason Graham, it would make sense because this team just hasn't had any push in the middle of the line. And how are you supposed to set your defensive ends up for success if the quarterback can always step up into the pocket? So they've got to get pressure up the middle and force the quarterback out to one of the sides and into the arms of Trayvon or Josh Hines-Allen. So I think that's a key one. They weren't very good in the middle of the defense in the back end last year either. And Andre Sisco's not back. So safety's an obvious one. And this appears to be a draft with a lot of potential players at the safety spot. And then just what we talked about. You don't have enough offensive weapons. Travis Etienne 2 years ago scored 11 touchdowns. Okay. I'm not willing to say that he is a guy that you can count on to be a touchdown scorer. So then who are you looking at? Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so you need more. You need more playmakers on offense. And I don't want to say desperately, but yeah, you kind of do. Maybe De'Ami Brown is that guy, so count him as a second option because he showed it during the playoffs last year. And maybe you can say that Etienne is if you're projecting back 2 years. But I like Travis, but I've just never been a big fan of him as a number one running back. So I think you got 2. I think you need 2 more. So that's why I was so enthusiastic to your question. What do you think about an offensive playmaker? Hell yes. Yeah, right. You got to have someone that scores touchdowns, and you've got a coach that scored a lot of touchdowns with Baker Mayfield last year. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if they go for a touchdown maker at number 5, or if they back up a couple spots from number 5, if they have that opportunity and get into the range where the McMillan or the Warren or the Jeanty make more sense.
Brian, talking here with Brian Sexton, longtime voice of your Jacksonville Jaguars. When you look at what they did in free agency. I mean, as we said, they had a certain type. They had 9 targets. They said they got them all. Oh, that's great. Who's the one signing that you think is going to provide the most value to this football team out of that free agent class?
I think, is it McCarry, the offensive guard that they signed from the Ravens? You know, he's a guy that you can move around to either guard spot. Let's be honest. For the last 2 years, this team has struggled to convert 3rd down and 1. And that's with a power back in Tank Bigsby, who is able to carve out yardage. They just couldn't make holes in the middle of the offensive line. I think that's a critical place for the Jaguars to be able to convert. You've got to be able to give Trevor Lawrence time on task, which means you're not coming off the field every 3 plays. This team has not been good at converting 3rd down and short. So I think that guy, who is a self-made man, undrafted rookie, who played all over the line in Baltimore. And if you're an offensive lineman in Baltimore and you started at that many spots, you're pretty damn good. So I think he's going to be a guy that's going to give them versatility. You got to figure out center. You got to figure out left guard. And because I like Ezra Cleveland, but I'm not sure he's the guy either. It's not like he's dazzled us the last 2 years. I think the middle of your offensive line is being reworked. And he's the guy that when they signed him, I went, I really like that signing. You forget the money. I think they paid him fairly, but he's a guy that brings that Ravens AFC North sort of grind mindset out. And I know 3rd and 1 isn't a sexy down and it doesn't grab people's attention, but when you really dive into the metrics and see a team that struggled on offense, you see they struggled on offense because they weren't on the field enough. And they weren't on the field enough because they couldn't convert that money down.
Brian, you've mentioned needing offensive skill guys, defensive interior being on the list, obviously, for the team here with the number 5 pick. A name that we've heard coming up every now and then here in the last couple weeks, especially, is Georgia's Jalen Walker. And he's kind of that hybrid player that could play with his hand down or a stand-up outside linebacker. How would you feel about his fit coming to the team here at 5?
Well, listen, has anybody ever said, no, we've got enough pass rush. We're just fine there.
Or we got enough Georgia Bulldogs, for that matter.
Well, it worked for the Eagles pretty well.
I'm saying, right?
Yeah, so I'm all right with that as well. You guys know me. I have long been a best available player. You can draft for need, and teams do that. They maneuver into various spots throughout the draft to get what they want. It's interesting. We focus so much on the first pick because really that's where everyone's attention is in the time leading up to the draft. But in talking to people, there are some good edge rushers that you'll find on day 2 and rounds 2 and 3, and some guys early on day 4. So to me, it doesn't strike me as I got to have that. I've got Trayvon Walker, of whom I am very high on. I think he's a tremendous player, back-to-back double-digit sack seasons. No Jaguars draft pick, none. Not even the great Tony Brackens ever did that. And so here he is in season 2 and season 3 really coming on. And is a terrific football player, and we know what Josh Hines-Allen is capable of. I would think if it were me, I would maneuver around the board to find some other spots. But if I look at him and I look at the grade and all the money that I spent on scouting and all the effort to make sure that grade is indicative of the value of the player, and he's there, well, I'd take him. Absolutely, I would take him because, again, at no point in the last couple of years, even with Josh and Trayvon, have I said, no. We got enough pass rush, guys.
So what do you mean? You may not. I know you're not as social media prevalent as Tony and I are. I don't think anyway.
I'm not.
There's a lot of like I don't know if it's wish casting or what, but people speculate about, hey, what could we give to get Trayvon Walker from the Jaguars? Like what? I don't know if it's just laziness or what. I mean, he's got to be one of the handful of most important building blocks on this roster going forward. Wouldn't you agree?
Listen, let me tell you what I do know. I was able to say a couple things that I'd heard the people talk about, what they're doing. I know that these guys like Trayvon Walker a lot. I don't want to use the word love because that has to come out of their mouth, but I have been told they think very, very highly. And why wouldn't you? Mike Tomlin told you what you needed to hear about him. He's an absolute wrecking ball on the defensive line. He isn't the most, I don't know how to put it, svelte pass rusher. He's not this guy who ducks underneath. He plays more with power than he does with speed. But, man, he's got 28 and a half sacks in the last 2 years. You realize other than Calais Campbell. He's the only Jaguars defensive end lineman player in history with back-to-back double-digit sack seasons. Hell no, he's not going anywhere. He is a long-time guy. And here's all you need to know. John Ozier likes to say this, so I'll steal it from him. If Trayvon Walker were to be allowed to hit free agency, you would be astounded at how many people would come out of the woodwork to make him the highest paid defensive player in NFL history because of the way he plays the game, the skill set he combines. The guy never misses a down, let alone a game. He's just a great football player. And I understand the criticism. People look at Aiden Hutchinson, and I mean, Aiden is, he's that pass rusher, the guy that just gets sack after sack after sack. Yeah, well, Trayvon Walker is an outstanding football player. And I can't say enough good things about him. He ain't going anywhere.
We've talked about a bunch of the different directions they can go with all of these different things. Do you personally have a favorite fit for the team at 5, given the options you've talked about maybe being available later in the draft? Who is your favorite fit at that spot?
I want Tyler Warren. I love the guy. And listen, when you look at the way that Liam Cohen worked that offense last year in Tampa, how he got the running game and the passing game in sync and working together, this is a guy who can put his hand on the ground and block you like Rob Gronkowski could when he was playing for the Patriots. And he's a guy that can move all over the formation and do the types of things that Kelsey does in Kansas City. I'm not saying he's those guys, but he sure looks like a blend of the two. Man, those guys are rare. And if you go back and look at the draft, I think Gronkowski was a 2 and Kelsey was a 3. If you say to the teams that passed on him, would you have taken him? Hell yeah, we'd take him. He's a great player. I like what I have seen from Liam Cohen. I've not had a one-on-one conversation with him at this point in time, but I look at what he did and I understand where he's come from and the Rams and the Sean McVay kind of mindset. I think Tyler Warren would be, I think he'd be I'd put him ahead of Diami Brown. I'd say he'd be your number 2 option. He's a guy. If you really want to see what he's capable of, go watch the USC Penn State game and see how many different ways they used him. Or the Notre Dame game in the bowl game in the playoff series against Penn State. I just think he's a hell of a football player. Talented, tough. He's got size. He's got speed. He's got versatility. I just have this sense, Tony, that he would be in Liam Cohen's offense. He would be an X factor and would give the Jaguars a star player.
All right.
And they've already got a star player.
Correct.
What do 2 star players do?
Yeah, which is kind of why I don't think Ashton Jeanty should be completely off consideration at that spot as well, particularly if he is head and shoulders above what is supposed to be one of the best running back crops in the history of the NFL draft, which argues for and against that because it is a deep group. But if he is that much ahead of such a deep group, you at least have to consider it. Anyway, Brian Sexton.
He's LaDainian Tomlinson. I want him.
Right. I hear you. That's the thing, though. Saquon wasn't this Saquon when he played with the Giants, right? No. He was the 1,300-yard guy. He was very good, but he wasn't the world-changing 2,000-yard rusher until he got with that Philadelphia offensive line. So just because you take the talent of that kind of guy, even if he is the next Saquon, you might not have the circumstances to get the best out of him, at least at this point. Brian, all the best, man, and we appreciate catching up with you, and go finish off your checklist of your many duties that you got going on, and hopefully we'll do it again either shortly before or right after the NFL draft.
Well, I'll be in Green Bay, so if you want an update from Green Bay, feel free to call me.
Oh, we will do that then. Excellent. Brian, thanks, man. Have a great month.
You got it, guys.
We'll talk to you later. And I say that because if Brian's going to be up in Green Bay for the draft, we'll definitely check in with him up there. And that is 4 weeks from today, round 1 of the NFL draft. There you go. Longtime voice of the Jags, Brian Sexton, lending his opinion. By the way, I don't know if you saw the Charles Davis mock that came out, I think in the last 30 minutes over at NFL.com. Brian would like it. Armand Membo out of Missouri to your Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right.
With the 5th pick there, with the usual suspects off the board, the 2 quarterbacks, Carter and Hunter gone. It goes Jeanty at 6, Tyler Warren at 7, Mason Graham at 8, Will Campbell at 9, Jalen Walker at 10. I'll take any one of them, Tom.
Yeah.
I mean, any one of them would help this team.
I got curious hearing the Tomlinson thing again with Jeanty. I've seen that. I think on NFL.com, its draft profile, they have the player comparisons they do on there. Not for everybody, but for a bunch of the guys, they'll have the player comparison. That's usually Lance Erline, who handles that business over there. So I was like, I wonder who the player comparison, because it is LT. That's the name they have up there for Jeanty. I've seen that before. I was like, I wonder what they have with Saquon and if they still have the profile up. Saquon, the NFL comparison was Barry Sanders.
That's pretty lofty. If there are not many you could go above LaDainian Tomlinson for, that's one of them.
That's one of them.
That's one of them right there. But hey, look, whether he's the next Saquon, the next
they're both Hall of
Tomlinson,
Famers,
right? But again, when you look, the thing that argues against it, I do think, is the production with the Giants. Really good player, didn't move the needle in the one-loss column for them, right? Now, you may argue, hey, the Jags have their quarterback. It'll be a different story. We got a star receiver already in place, and I'm open to it, but I'm not convinced of it. Thank you to Brian Sexton for joining us. We'll get back to Matt Miller's projections for the Jags 10 selections, and Tony will take us around the league as we get into hour 2. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Awaken 180 weight loss. You want to drop the pounds, but most importantly, maintain that weight loss. Awaken 180, if you haven't figured out by now, is the way to go. They perfected their methodology with over a decade in the business, helping over 24,000 clients lose a combined 750,000 plus pounds with a 98+% satisfaction rating over that period of time, including myself, Hacker, Matt Hayes, Rick Ballew's getting on board. So many of us here at 1010XL, so many people in Jacksonville have already tried it. Maybe you've been one of those New Year's resolution people that you stick with it for a week or two, and then it's too tough to get through. Well, you get great coaching and support from Awaken 180 on a regular basis, and once you hit your goal weight, whatever goal you set for yourself, you'll get that free coaching and support for the rest of your life. Just stick with Awaken 180, and you'll drop those pounds and keep them off. You can schedule a free consultation right now at awaken180weightloss.com. That's Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. The past comes to life in the present.
And the Jaguars are going to the playoffs.
The memories bridge the gap to the future.
From 27-0 to win the game.
Experience the most play-by-play sports on 1010XL.
E.T. here, and spring in Clay County means one thing: the award-winning Clay County Fair. It's more than just rides and a concert, it's an experience. Savor the flavors of classic fair treats, explore family-friendly attractions, and enjoy a perfect mix of small-town charm and big-time fun. Plan your trip with Explore Clay County Tourism and turn your visit into a getaway. Find the best places to stay, eat, and explore at exploreclay.com. And don't forget to share your fair adventures with #ExploreClay.
Need protection? Call Craig and Christine Kaprosky at Goosehead Insurance. The Kaproskys are a husband-wife team committed to finding you the right coverage at the right price in just a few short minutes. For home, auto, flood, or specialty insurance, Craig and Christine Kaprosky are the answer. Craig.Kaprosky at Goosehead.com.
Jaguars Today Thursday is towed by Cannons of Jacksonville.
The First Tee Tour Card is back for 2025 and better than ever, with access to over 15 of North Florida's best courses and new this year, local participating businesses. This card is your ticket to saving hundreds. First Tee North Florida is a local nonprofit who build character in youth participants through the game of golf. This annual fundraiser enables this amazing organization the ability to build game changers. Grab your tour card for just $99 at tourcard.org. for a list of participating partners, benefits, and restrictions.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
E.T. here, and if you've ever been injured in an accident, visit my buddy Dr. McGowan at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. You have 14 days to see a doctor and protect your insurance benefits, even if you're at fault. And no matter what you hear, you have the right to choose your own doctor. So I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Their auto experts will guide you in every step of the way to ensure the care that you need. Your recovery starts with McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation.
you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
Start your Saturday with a whiff of the great outdoors.
Captain Kevin Favor here with Captain Kirk and Jeff Loggeman, and we bring you the fresh air of the great outdoors.
On the Nimnit Outdoors Show, presented by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning on 1010XL.
It's March Madness, and your office needs a champion. Advanced Business Solutions teams up with Xerox to bring you copiers that never miss a shot. Fast, reliable, and ready to handle the pressure. Make the winning play for your business. Hire the champions at Advanced Business Solutions, where your business goes for the win. Locally and veteran-owned.
Print documents and IT management. Advanced Business Solutions.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging? Spring is here, a time to renew. I'm Dr. Mark Capel, a board-certified dermatologist here to help you look and feel your best with minimal to no downtime. Rejuvenate your skin, strengthen your core, and sculpt your body with advanced face and body treatments designed to restore your youthful glow and confidence. Just in time for spring and summer. A healthier, more fit you starts now. Visit dermagnify.com and step into spring looking and feeling your best.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. When pests invade your home or business, you don't just need them out, you need them out fast. And you need to keep them out. At Terminix, they'll show up for you and eliminate pests quicker, just like they did at my house, because they care about what matters most to you. When pests show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with a pest problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. That's right, Terminix it.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL local sports update brought to you by Lone Pronto. After defeating Norfolk State in the first round and UConn in the second round of the March Madness tournament, the Gators now turn their focus to tonight's Sweet 16 matchup with Maryland. The Terrapins come into tonight's game as the number 4 seed in the West bracket and prove to be the toughest test yet for the Gators. Head coach Todd Golden believes the first 2 games have prepared his team for moments like this.
Yeah, it's great to be back in the Bay. Really proud of our program and our team to be able to find a way to make it to the Sweet 16. Great games last weekend against Norfolk State. I thought we showed a lot of grit in our win over UConn. I thought they played very well and had us in a bind late in the game, and we found a way to push through and get a big win in a big moment. And just really excited to compete against Maryland tomorrow.
Gators in Maryland tonight, tip-off at 7:39. Catch the game live on 1010 a.m. It's 74 degrees at 11:03. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Big Meech is on board, Tony. Demetrius Harvey.
Nice.
The Big Meech by our man E.T. First of all, will join us on the program tomorrow. It's been a little while since we had him. And we got to get him in studio. We got to get the Ship in studio, D-Rock, Demetrius, before the draft. So the bat signal is tentatively being sent out to those guys. So we'll do a show, hopefully, with each of them in the next few weeks. Draft week will be busy. Don't forget, Media Mock Draft, Dylan. It's probably the first time you thought about it, right? I'm guessing.
No, I've thought about it like twice.
Oh, you did?
The last couple weeks.
He's thinking about the Media Mock Draft and taxes once a week.
He is thinking about his taxes, man. You got to be like a 1040 EZ guy, don't you?
I don't even know. I just get my couple tax forms and I throw them in there. And
yeah, that's a 1040 EZ guy. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what, right. But he was talking about, like, last year, did you go to H&R Block or something?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, last year.
Like 1040 EZ requires nothing.
Yeah.
Right? You just fill that thing out and boom,
just
you're
need
done.
your W-2. Yeah.
It was maybe the best day of the year when I was like 18 years old when it was tax season, Tony, because back then, if you didn't make a whole lot of money, you got a refund on your taxes, and it was like the biggest single-day windfall of cash in my hands at that stage of my life was whenever I got that tax return. So I love tax season, baby. Get that return done early. Get that cash so I can blow it that much quicker. Anyway, Demetrius is on board not just to come on tomorrow, but within the last hour, just put out a Jaguar-only 3-round mock. And I won't spoil all of it other than to say he'd vote for Ashton Jeanty to come to the Jags because that's who he put to the Jags.
He may be listening to the show this morning.
He may be, or maybe it's just in the air right now. We go through all these topics and, we're like, like yesterday we needed a break from it. We did the Orlando thing if you're going to go to any games if they play there in 2027. But it does seem like we're getting through all the permutations of Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter and Mason Graham and where do we go from here? And we have done out of this off-schedule group, who would you go with? Yeah. We had Tyler Warren and Jeanty and guys like that in there. Today's specifically about Jeanty. And anyway, Demetrius advocates for him in his mock. Go check that out at Jacksonville.com. And you can see who else he's got. Put it this way, when we did our top 5 this week of players outside the first round that we liked, he's got one of Dylan's guys and one of your guys.
Nice.
In the mock there, in the 4 selections that he did for the Jaguars. So Demetrius will talk all things Jags with us tomorrow. Let's clean up on aisle 3 here on Matt Miller, going through his 7-round mock. It is 4 weeks out from the NFL draft. But for all those of you who are sick of the draft talk already, you're probably not listening right now.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because
check in with you in 6 weeks.
It's the main kind of thing going on that we're building towards here. And we told you had Mason Graham. Matt Miller did to the Jags with pick 5. You had Mason Taylor, the LSU tight end, at 36. He goes Savion Williams, the TCU wide receiver, at 7. He's the guy I've mocked to the Jags in like the 4th round in some of the mocks. I don't know exactly where he's going to fall on the board. You see different representations, but this is what he said. Let's give the Jaguars more playmakers and add a player who had 6 receiving touchdowns and 6 rushing touchdowns last year. Liam Cohen would have fun scheming touches for him. Man, this dude's like a 6'5" wide receiver, right? Like half a foot in the tight end bucket almost, right? He is not going to line up in the backfield as that. I mean, you don't see running backs that tall. There's too much guy to hit. Now, reverses, sure. You also have Brian Thomas Jr. out there. How many reverses are they going to run for Savion Williams? I mean, seriously, on the high end, 10?
Something like that, yeah.
Right? One every other game, something like that? Or even if it's one a game. Fun scheming touches. I just felt like that was I got to stick somebody in here. They need a playmaker. I'm going to try to sauce this up. The fact that he scored 6 rushing touchdowns doesn't mean a whole lot to me.
Not to me either.
Because I don't think that's going to have much of an impact on the way he plays in the National Football League. Not saying it's a terrible selection, and he is the big-bodied guy. You've got the speedster on the other side. I don't know. We'll see.
It is interesting, talking along those lines, but specifically in the last segment, we were talking about the NFL comps that we saw on NFL.com. For someone was like, I wonder what they're saying about him. Savion Williams, the NFL comp Zerline has is Cordero Patterson, which is interesting when you're thinking of like how many touches.
Cordero Patterson now is a tall receiver who does line up in the backfield and can run the ball.
Like it's one of those where is it that kind of player where you have to figure out what you want to do to scheme him up? That kind of thing to get him involved. Maybe that's just the type of player he is. I don't know how interested or not interested the Jaguars would be in that.
You go
kind
for
of
a
guy.
Swiss Army knife with the 70th pick in the draft. I don't know. That's what he sounds like, right? And look, Cordero Patterson's a hell of an interesting player, right? Great return man, has been historically, and had more success than you would ever have expected when teams just lined him up in the backfield and handed him the football. Yeah, at least more than I expected.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it sounds like the write-ups on him are specifically the thing that he's been really dynamic at in college is they can put him anywhere and they have to scheme a way to get him the ball, right? Like he's not a great wide receiver, but he's a great gadget guy. It's the way that he's at least being talked about. So if you're going to profile him going anywhere, it's going to be they kind of want a gadget guy. I don't know how much the Jags are or are not interested in that kind of player. I just don't know.
Yeah. He has Craig Woodson. And I heard the guys on the drill, they looked it up, so I'm going to presume they're right. No relation to any of the great Woodson defensive backs. There are a lot of great Woodson defensive backs.
There are, yeah.
Right? Rod Woodson and Charles Woodson and Darren Woodson. Craig Woodson, safety out of California. He said, adding Eric Murray temporarily checks this need off the list, but not long-term. Woodson's an elite hitter with the range to run alleys and make plays in the box. Okay. I don't know if I've ever heard that expression used before, to run alleys.
He's a real alley runner.
He is quite the alley runner.
Yeah.
In the fourth round, Kobe Bryant, the corner out of Kansas. Who's the guy at Virginia Tech? The corner. He had him going with the very next pick. We have in a lot of our mocks. His name escapes me at the moment. That would be interesting to see them go back to back. The fourth rounder they have from Minnesota, Joshua Gray, guard out of Oregon State. So now he's starting to,
strong.
He's going. He ends up going with 4 offensive linemen in the last 5 picks here. Joshua Gray out of Oregon State, the guard. Caleb Rogers, a tackle out of Texas Tech. Drew Kendall, a center out of Boston College, who is an interesting guy. If they can't get the cream of the crop at center. And Jack Nelson, a tackle out of Wisconsin with the last pick, interspersed in there, Antoine Powell Ryland. Wasn't he a former Gator, Dylan, if I'm not mistaken?
Who's that?
Antoine Powell Ryland. Did he go to Florida at some point and transfer to Virginia Tech, if I'm not mistaken?
Not a name that sounds familiar.
Anyway, he's an edge rusher from Virginia Tech. Something that he didn't have going in his draft is a running back to the Jags. So here today we're talking about Ashton Jeanty. And, I mean, it's, to me, Tone, 4 offensive linemen, and I get it. Those late picks are going to be a low percentage hit rate, so you're throwing a bunch at the wall. But with all the offensive linemen they signed, can they afford to? I mean, 4 offensive linemen, you better have, a lock on your practice squad, because that's where some of these guys are going to end up and susceptible to be signed away by another team. I mean, they don't have room for 4 rookie offensive linemen, do they?
I don't know where it would be.
I don't know how you'd fit them all in with the I mean, just if you presume the starting 5's intact, they signed 2 additional tackles on top of that. Okay, there's 7. Most teams carry 10 max on the offensive line. I mean, that's 7 with assuming, Fortner's gone and maybe he would be replaced by Kendall and everybody else. There's nobody else returning that they would want to keep. Cole Van Lanen, for instance, who is still an interesting player kind of sitting out there with the 6th round tender. But you've heard no movement on any front. I think he'll probably eventually sign the tender and player in Jacksonville, because I think if someone was going to sign him,
it was going to happen, it would have happened.
You would think so, But who knows what other teams are thinking. We don't even know what James Gladstone and company are thinking right now, to be honest with you. Antoine Powell Ryland, 6'3", 252 pounds. I thought I heard Hicks say he used to line up in Gainesville. So anyway.
Yeah, he did.
He did,
Played
okay.
2020 to 2022.
All right, so must not have made a big impression on you back then.
Or I got short-term memory loss, one of the other.
How many sacks would you guess he had in his final year at Virginia Tech? Antoine Powell Ryland.
5.5.
Tony, any guess?
7.
16!
Wow.
How we got a D1 guy who's got 16 sacks that we're not talking about at all?
Yeah, I know.
Right? Like, if you can give me that in the 6th round, I'd be absolutely on board.
Sure.
With it. And look, I'm not going to get caught too much up in who the offensive linemen are. I thought he went a little overboard with the O-line after all the signings that they made in free agency, but I get the desire to beef it up. You're answering defensive tackle with the first pick. You get an edge rusher late here. You get a wide receiver. You get a tight end. You get a corner. You get a safety. They may not be the ones we typically draft, so that probably, skews our thinking about it as well. Anyway, you can check it out in the write-up over at ESPN.com if you like. When we return, Tony Smith will take us around the National Football League. We'll dig a little bit deeper in today's Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. Your thoughts on if the Jaguars were to pull the trigger on running back Ashton Jeanty out of Boise State with their first selection in this year's NFL draft. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
Hey, this is Donnie Edwards, former NFL linebacker. Just want to give a shout out to our men and women serving in our military, especially in the city of Jacksonville. And you're listening to 1010XL Jacksonville Sports Radio.
Tired of a plain and boring backyard? Stonecore on Phillips Highway is your one-stop choice to beautify your home. With pavers, stonework, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces, pergolas, and driveways. Visit stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Hey folks, Hicken here for Zero Res. You're going to want to beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get one room Zero Resified starting at $53. Hey, and take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Don't forget about your air ducts. Your air ducts sort of like the lungs of your home. If they're dirty, your indoor air quality suffers. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com. Tell them Dan or 1010XL sent you. Spell it forwards or backwards. Zero Res. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Bueller.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, buddy, you look worried.
Worried? I'm apoplectic!
You're Appa what now?
I'm freaking out, Jason. Stupid water heater crapped out, so I haven't showered since Thursday. I start smelling a little funky, blow my big corporate job interview tomorrow. I'll end up settling for some dead-end career selling spatulas on the internet.
Dude, stay cool.
There's nothing cool about a cold shower, Jason. I mean, I know how that sounds, but...
Bueller Air and Plumbing can get a new water heater installed today. The day you call. You could be smelling fresh again by dinner time.
Wait, you can do that?
Put on these sunglasses.
Whoa.
Is that cooler?
Oh, yeah.
Well, life moves pretty fast. If you spend much more time smelling like this, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Jaguars Today, Thursday.
Brought to you by Cannons of Jacksonville.
Out with the old, in with the organized. Mia here for my friends at Closets by Design. Freshen up your home this spring with a custom organization solution. For a limited time, take advantage of our spring special and enjoy exclusive savings on closets, garages, home offices, and more. That's 40% off with an additional 15% off with 12-month special financing through April. Spring on this deal before it's gone. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation with Closets by Design.
Struggling with ED? Now Riddle Wellness has a solution that works. You've heard of PRP treatments for joint pain relief. That same technology is now available with the P-Shot, a non-surgical treatment for ED. Using your body's natural power, the P-Shot helps restore function naturally. No pills, no downtime, just results. Schedule a free consultation at elevatejacksonville.com and learn what the P-Shot can do for you. Riddle Wellness, your health, your confidence totally restored. Visit elevatejacksonville.com.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser start the week by giving the ball to the best back in Duval.
And off, Fred Taylor.
Monday morning running back with Fred Taylor is fueled by Epstein and Robbins DUI defense firm and Monahan Jewelers on 1010XL.
The restaurant of the day is the Great Greek Mediterranean Grill. Get a Greek Feast family combo meal tray with chicken skewers, gyro meat, gulmades, and more. Feed 4 to 6 people for just $49.95. Feed 8 to 10 for just $99.95. The Great Greek Mediterranean Grill.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family-owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
Hey everybody, Jennifer Marion with Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville here to say hello, and we'd sure like to have your business.
You know what? They're going to love the king of price.
My dad believes in making great deals and having a great selection in stock.
Cadillac XT4s, XT5s, and XT6s, and Escalades.
The all-electric Cadillac Lyriq.
CT4s and CT5s.
Cadillac luxury and selection is just waiting for you.
At Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent ya.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and there's so many cool products that are on the line at Cycles of Jacksonville. The showroom is Atlantic and Regency, and we're talking, Greg, you've got from any level of price point, the experienced rider to the inexperienced on-road, off-road.
We've got it. We've got ATVs, we've got motorcycles, we've got scooters, we even have the new Honda boats. We've got something for everyone.
Don't forget about the boat line from Honda. It's all right there, waiting for you. Atlantic and Regency or Cycles of Jacksonville's Facebook page.
Pick it here for Bound 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bound 9. Visit Bound 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bound 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
You know, one thing I disagreed with last hour, Tony, we talked with Brian Sexton, senior correspondent for Jaguars.com. And sometimes, you know, people will make note of something. You don't want to get it too sidetracked. And it wasn't a big deal because I think we're splitting hairs on this. If Trayvon Walker were a free agent right now, I do not believe that teams would be lining up to make him the highest paid defensive player in the league. I don't. Would he get around that $30 million mark? Okay.
Pretty easily, I would think.
Myles Garrett got 40. I mean, Myles Garrett is older, but he's like 15 sacks a year guy, and he's done it forever, you know? And so, yes, the youth is on Trayvon's side. I don't believe that Trayvon Walker would reset the market in terms of defensive players.
No.
But he'd be, I agree, a highly sought-after player. In fact, we were talking last week, maybe it was earlier this week, about the most indispensable, the untradeable pieces if you're the Jags, and I put him at 3 after Trevor and Brian Thomas.
There's not so much heat on it this offseason because they do still have as much time as they do to try to figure out a long-term deal with Trayvon Walker, so there hadn't been so much attention on they have to get it done now, except for the idiots that think because they haven't gotten it done, that means they have no interest in keeping him. It's just foolish to think about it that way. But they do still have this year, 5th-year option, and the franchise tag as options after that, right? So they're going to control him at least for the next 3 years in my mind if they want to do it that way. But if we were going into an offseason, this offseason, looking at it, saying, what do I think would be a fair thing to offer Trayvon to get him here on a long-term deal? And I think if you're thinking about it, I think making him an offer that's somewhere around that $35 a year makes sense, right? If it is, you had to do it this year and next year he may be gone. Like if you were at that point in it, I think he would have enough leverage to get something like that out of you, because I do think he'd get that kind of value on the market with the kind of player he is. But they're not having to worry about that right now. And it's the impetus to make those kind of offers at a little bit lower price so that he can get that money now, have the security of doing it. It's why you make those kind of offers, to try to get it done now if you can. But as we've discussed when we've discussed it, I wouldn't blame Walker for saying, I can wait.
Sure. I mean, there are pluses and minuses on both sides. Yeah. You know, MJD, for you to say, hey, you know, I could have got more if I waited. Well, why didn't you wait? Because when you wait, you take on all the injury risk.
You wanted the security of it.
And you may think, it's not going to happen to me, but it happens to, you never know.
Yeah.
It can happen to anybody. Has a team ever paid 2 edge rushers, like top 10 edge rusher money at the same time?
I don't know.
And how successful is, I'm not saying, like the number itself, whatever that number is, 35, the cap goes up every year.
Yeah.
And so 35 in a few years will look less, but it's still as a percentage of what the top guys are getting. I don't know if anybody has ever
didn't
paid.
Dallas have Micah Parsons and Marcus Lawrence?
But they hadn't paid Micah yet.
Oh, okay.
Right. They hadn't paid Micah. And then DeMarcus never got. Did he have
He got the big deal, but I forget where he was.
And so, maybe that's close.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good example of and what do they gain Dallas? I mean, they had that 1 year a couple of years ago where they had a crazy playmaking defense. A lot of that was Diggs.
I saw, people are always taking the shots at Dallas, and I'm here for it. People taking shots at the Dallas Cowboys, but with Russell signing with the New York Giants, likely to be the starter up there, the Cowboys will have the only starting quarterback in the NFC East that has not gone to an NFC Championship game.
And Jaden Daniels has been there for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right, why don't we take a quick look around the rest of the National Football League?
Now, gems around the NFL. Brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
Not a whole lot going on, but the Tennessee Titans have signed quarterback Tim Boyle and wide receiver James Prochet. The NFL Competition Committee is recommending that the dynamic kickoff rules that were brought in last year should be made permanent, and they're saying that they should move the touchbacks out from the 30 to the 35-yard line. There is a rule being proposed that would allow teams to attempt an onside kick at any time during a game if they are trailing. In 2024, teams could only attempt the onside kick if they were trailing and it was the fourth quarter, and the NFL will not be considering the 4th and long conversion that has been discussed in years past this year to replace the onside kick.
Can we get Tennessee to acquire Trey Lance so we can get that sideline shot of Lance Boyle right there standing next to each other? Lance that Boyle, the Tennessee Titans 2025 season. That'll be the name of the NFL Films 30-minute recap. We Lance that Boyle. Oh, that would be fantastic. All right, Dylan Denmark, why don't you fire up today's 10-10 take?
10-10.
10-10 take.
Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 take is serviced by Ideal Conditions Heating and Air, your go-to local HVAC company, veteran owned and operated.
Look, I am just that dumb enough guy to be excited about anything the Jags do. Most times, even like if Trent Baalke were here, I'd be excited no matter who they took at number 5, and I get it, there'd be the Baalke cloud over it. But, I mean, Brian Thomas Jr., we're happy with that, right? So it could have worked out, but I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be excited because it's a new vision. But I would be excited if they took Ashton Jeanty with the 5th pick in the draft, Tony. I don't know if that's necessarily the right route to take. It's interesting because we try to make the poll the two extreme ends, right? Like it starts with, oh, man, I'm fully on board, and then it gradually gets less interested to the point where the last one is absolutely freaking not, right? So our options today, if the Jags were to draft Ashton Jeanty, what would most closely resemble your reaction? Great. The offense needs weapons. That's option 1. So that's the most on board. You can be fantastic. Okay. He's the best available player. If we're going to go that philosophy, fine. We can play that philosophy. I told you earlier, I don't adhere to that strictly because you make exceptions for different positions. You're not going to take a quarterback at 5, even if you think he's the best available player, or at 36 for that matter. Option 3, come on. We need linemen. Well, we do need linemen, but that one is probably one of the least appealing options to me because just because you don't take a lineman at 5 doesn't mean you can't load up on offensive and defensive linemen. And then option 4, running back at 5 would be so dumb. I'm torn between the two extremes on this. Great. We need offensive weapons on the one hand. And then I'll look at 36 and Travion Henderson will be staring us in the face, right? Or some other outstanding running back. And it is supposed to be this deep class. So I'm probably a little, an extra toe in the running back at 5 would not be the smart use of your resources. But they do need offensive weapons. And if they take him, they're telling you that they believe the metrics that say Jeanty is not only the best in this class, but he's the best by a considerable margin. Because you're going to have good ones available to you in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, maybe the 6th round this year, the way they're talking about that class. You mentioned Lance Zierlein earlier. He did his rankings of the various positions and which are the strongest. Edge rusher, he actually had at number 1 in the entire draft. He thinks that is the deepest position to get help at. He had running back at number 2. So I'm probably a foot in there, but like if I wasn't there, I'm on the other end of the spectrum that, man, we need offensive weapons. He'd be exciting. I mean, how much does that help Trevor to hand it off to a guy who had like more yards after contact than any other back had yards in college football last year. That would be fantastic. Right. So how'd you vote on this?
Man, I'm still trying to think through exactly how I'd vote. I'm looking up something right now that may help me make the decision. The usage for Ashton Jeanty does make me a little bit nervous.
This is true. Yes.
You know, in college, and I was like, okay, let me go look and see Saquon, like how many touches he had, especially that last couple of years there. And Jeanty has 80 more carries in college than Saquon did.
Okay.
Coming in. And so he's been exposed a little bit more, but especially last year. I mean, the usage on Jeanty last year, 374 touches. That's
touches
so
or carries?
Carries.
Carries.
And 23 catches on top of that. So he was exposed a lot. Now he's doing that at Boise State, so it's a bit different than it would be at Penn State. Right, and the kind of exposure that you're getting to your body doing that kind of thing. I am trying to measure in my mind, because it does feel like in the last couple of years, the answer that NFL offenses have tried to find for dealing with the way that passing games have worked and the way defenses have had to adjust with how they defend the passing game in the league, which has become just don't let them deep, can't let it deep, got to keep everything in front of us. If they're going to complete it, let them complete it for 3-5 yards, and they got to make 2 people miss to get the big play. That's what the NFL became in reaction to everything that was going on with everything in the pass game, and that transitioned into the run game became more important, right? It's been more exaggerated here in the last couple of years. How long is that going to last? I think has some kind of impact on how I feel about Jeanty at 5 to some degree. I land on we need linemen. That's because Mason's still there. Like I would be more comfortable with Mason Graham as the pick at 5 than I would be Jeanty, but I can understand the rationale for it given the type of player they're talking about Jeanty being.
I would probably be more on board with Jeanty than any other skill position player there, including Tyler Warren.
I would too.
You know, I think, I don't think tight ends, like you said, is going to be an emphasis. If we're going to go skill position player, score some touchdowns, give me that guy.
I had Tech McMillan high on that list at one time. It's not at that spot in my mind anymore. If I was deciding between Ted and Jeanty, I would take Jeanty.
That's exactly right. But I think the final analysis for me is, all right, let's take Saquon right now and put him on the Jags in 2024, last year's Jags. What's he run for? 1,200? 1,300?
Something in there.
Right? Not run for 2,000.
You'd be looking and say he's one of the top handful of running backs in the league.
Now, granted,
like wherever he went.
We think they've improved their offensive line. To what degree? We're not sure yet.
Yeah.
Right? There's still questions with a lot of those spots out there. We're excited about Patrick McCary, who nobody was talking about before free agency. We're excited about having a new center who got benched in Tampa last year with the exception of one game. And, so I think Saquon's year is influencing a lot of opinions on the running back importance in today's NFL.
Yeah.
Give me Philly's offensive line, and I'll take Jeanty all day long there. And I'll run for 2,300 yards instead of 1,300 yards. So I'd probably end up defaulting. Don't get me wrong. If that name gets turned in, I'm going to be excited, right? I think Jaguar fans will buy Jeanty jerseys by the truckload if that were to be the case. But I think I'd probably ultimately default to, I want to add a running back. I'll add a running back in the 4th round this year to what we've got. And guess what? If I don't get a game-breaking, all-around 3-down back this year, I'll try another one next year. And I'll try another one the year after that, and you'll finally hit on one of those running backs. Bucky Irving was, a 4th-round selection by the Bucs in what was supposed to be not as deep a running back class last year. And Liam Cohen helped turn him into a near star in his first year in Tampa. All right, we'll come back. Final segment on the way. This is Jaguars Today. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Catch Gators basketball on 1010XL.
The Gators trip to the top makes a stop at the Sweet 16, Florida, Maryland. Tonight at 7:30 on 1010 AM.
Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios.
Jags fans, here's your chance to score a trip to Green Bay for round 1 of draft night. Through the Everbank Draft Night Experience Sweepstakes, one lucky winner and a guest will be there live and in person to see the Jaguars make their first pick. To enter, visit everbank.com/draft by April 4th. That's everbank.com/draft. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the 50 United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry period from 3/3/25 to 4/4/25. For official rules, prize description, odds of winning, and other details, visit everbank.com/draft. Sponsored and administrator, Everbank N.A.
Come visit the best sports restaurant in town. That's Big Dogs in Orange Park, known for great burgers, huge wings, pizza, salads, and special nightly events like trivia and karaoke. You'll all love it at Big Dogs Restaurant in Orange Park.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers floral or plant arrangement. This is Max Fink with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at kuhnflowers.com.
You're locked in to Jaguars Today Thursday with
Cannons of Jacksonville.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code WEALTH to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WEALTH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code WEALTH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Trying to figure pricing at most AC companies is like listening to an auctioneer.
Who wants an AC tune-up? Do I hear $3.99? How about $2.99? No, let's drop it. $79? Do we have a deal? Going once, going twice? Sold!
Not at Duck Duck Air Conditioning. We make it easy. We're offering a free AC inspection. No gimmicks, no fine print, just a completely free checkup from our highly trained techs to make sure your AC is ready for summer. Call 904-862-6769 now to schedule. Duck Duck Air Conditioning, because free is better than bidding. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
Big shots that change your bracket.
For the win.
Listen all month for top March moments on 1010XL. Driven by Garber Auto Mall. We can wiggle it.
Has someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI, domestic violence, and all criminal offenses. In your battle with the justice system, there's only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645. 354-5645.
Guys, want a golf course fairway quality lawn? Topdressing.com just landed in Jacksonville with the golf course secret for St. Augustine grass homeowners. A patented process that aerates and turns your turf into a fairway stunner. Serious golf course technology, but in your yard. Less water, tighter cuts, total neighborhood domination. No one else scores a perfect 10 lawn. Hit topdressing.com now. You will own the block. Top dress your yard like the pros with topdressing.com.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
Hey, Hicken here, or just call me Dreamfinders Danny. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now's your chance to lock down that rate and get in the game. You heard me right. It's 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershomes.com for more details.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Your tax refund is here. Why not invest in your home? Superior Fence and Rail helps you build value with beautiful, durable fences that boost your home security, privacy, and curb appeal. With expert installation and financing options, turning your yard into an outdoor oasis is easier than ever. Reinvest in your home today with Superior Fence and Rail.
When you're on the fence, about the fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
1010XL is presented by Barra & Barra, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
All right, cooling it down here on Jaguars Today. Final few minutes of the program. Glad you're along with us. Tomorrow, Tom McManus in studio, as he is every Friday. And Demetrius Harvey of the Florida Times-Union will join to discuss many Jaguar-related issues, including the prospect of drafting Ashton Jeanty. Go check out Demetrius's mock over at Jacksonville.com. Did a 3-round Jaguar-only mock, and some interesting players in there. That's the thing, Tone. I guess 4 weeks from tomorrow, we'll be breaking it down, how we feel about that first round. And I'm not a big trade back up into the first round this year guy. It's not supposed to be a great overall draft, but I feel like it's deep at certain positions that the Jaguars need.
Mm-hmm.
I do want me some Jared Wilson on this team. So I'd be more inclined to package up something to move up from 70 into the second round than I probably would package up something to move up from 36 into the late first round.
I'd agree. Yeah. Given the kind of the way this draft seems to be filling out the needs the team has going in, I would tend to agree.
Wonder what it would take to move up from like 70 to 50. Would you have to give up 88?
Mm-hmm.
Would you have to give up both your fourth rounder? I don't know. I don't know what the chart says and all that. And a lot of it depends on the board as well, like how other teams feel about and what they need about collecting more picks. It's interesting that James Gladstone said we have 10 picks for now, and everyone interprets that as, we're going to add picks. Well, maybe they're not. Maybe they're going to package picks. That's what we have for now, and we're open to, we've got a lot of ammo to either add 10 players or possibly more, or maneuver around the board as much as anybody this year. So in fact, if anything, if you're going to trade, man, I'm getting enamored with this group of players now in the top 12 because we're conditioning ourselves that one of them's coming to the Jaguars. I don't know if you'd have to really get paid off, but if they got paid off and they moved back and they kept everything else intact, added a couple of picks, maybe added a pick or two next year and moved back to like Seattle wants an offensive lineman, right? And coming up from 18 to 5. I think that'd be kind of exciting because now you would give a regime that is dedicated to building it from the ground up through the draft more capital than they probably ever had in a 2-year period.
Yeah. And looking at the draft value chart.
I knew that's what you're doing.
I was, yeah. And looking at it, I was trying to do the math in my head for this, but it's from 70 to, say, the late 50s, 58, 59 would basically be the first fourth-round pick.
Okay.
Would be the cost on it.
All
to
right.
do that, yeah.
I mean, if there's a guy you love, if you're telling me I'm getting Jared Wilson, the best center in the draft, and he's probably the single lineman I covet the most, and he's there at pick 60, and that's what it costs you the first fourth-round pick. You got an extra third, you got an extra fourth.
I'd be all right with that. Yeah.
I'd be all right with that depending on the player. Obviously, they're going to feel okay about it, or they wouldn't make the move regardless. And I do think you come in, Balky has done a good job or did a good job trading back on a couple of occasions, adding extra value. That way, if the guy doesn't hit 100%, you're still getting other bites at it. And the Jags still that third and fourth round pick came in the Brian Thomas deal.
Right.
The idea that they've got arguably their second most important player on this football team and added 3 additional picks. Because Keelan Robinson was the pick.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know if he'll ever turn into anything.
Yeah, no idea. Yeah.
But who knows with the new kickoff proposal out there to adjust kickoffs that go into the end zone from the 30 to the 35, they think this will add significantly more kickoffs.
Makes sense.
To the game.
It makes sense because the incentive would be for the teams to force a return. Right? Like, you kick it short of the end zone.
You want to kick it between the 10 and the goal line.
Right, like giving it to him at the 30-yard line. Obviously, that wasn't enough of a factor for teams to not just kick it into the end zone over and over and over again. And the touchback was still the most common result of the kickoff last year. So they said, all right, let's move the touchback out to the 35-yard line and see if teams aren't more comfortable saying, return it now. Because I watched every return we saw was virtually the players were getting tackled between the 28 and the 32-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
It was right at the 30. So there was no reason to risk it as the kicking team. But now it at least incentivizes it a little bit more that, all right, let them try. If we're on average, we're tackling them at the 29, 30-yard line anyway, let them try, right? And if they make a play, you tip your cap.
Right.
And I think it makes sense from a league perspective. If you actually want to bring the kickoff back into the game, it's safer now, all those different things, then I think moving the touchback 5 yards actually will have that kind of impact on teams who are going to be returning kicks more this year.
So we looked at Matt Miller's 7-round mock today. I didn't agree with all the selections, but I generally agreed that he focused in on the positions that are deficient with the Jags.
Saw some of the needs. Yeah.
Maybe a little over the top on offensive line late there with 4 of the last 5 picks going to the O-line with as many as they've added. Gilbert Manzano, who I think is a really good reporter, used to cover the Chargers, now does the NFL at large for Sports Illustrated, did a post-free agency team needs for every AFC team.
Yeah.
Jaguars' top 4 needs. Give them to me without looking at Gilbert's ranking.
Top 4 needs, I would go wide receiver.
Okay.
Defensive tackle.
Okay.
Safety's got to be in there.
Safety
would be fine. And then I'd say probably still offensive line.
Okay. You got 2 out of the 4, according to Manzano, right? This is the order he listed them in. Tight end, 1. I mean, look, I get it, but they're looking at Evan Ingram goes, and you're not looking at how they're going to operate this offense necessarily. But tight end, O-line, which is interesting. I mean, I get it. We all kind of say, yeah, but you could also look and say, we actually have 5 that we could roll with, a couple of depth pieces that we added, defensive tackle, and then corner they go with. I mean, I want to add a corner, but if you had to, Jarian Jones on the outside is better than some of the options you have at other positions right now. I definitely would have safety
and I
high on this list.
Probably put edge in there somewhere, but
edge would be in there too. Yeah. But, he's limited, I guess, to 4. So anyway, you can go check that out. Oh, he's not limited it to 4 as I look at some of these other lists, but those are the main ones. All right, we're done for all the damage we can do today. So let's welcome in Helmets and Heels.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
LB, I was so close to saying XL Primetime right there. That's what it was.
Because it's Thursday, and for much of the football season,
that's right. That's
XL
what it is.
Primetime. There was one time you said, I was at home, and you said, all right, Helmets and Heels is coming up next.
And it was XL Primetime.
Yes, but I had a massive panic attack, something changed.
Should
and
I
I'm
be
not
there?
Right, yeah.
Do you have that dream ever? I used to have that dream all the time that you're late for something.
Oh, yes, I have it still constantly.
Right.
And I wake up at between 6 and 7 a.m. Our show starts at noon. I cannot be late for our show.
I have 2, and I don't have that many of these anymore. I have one where I'm late for a college class and I'm oversleeping because that happened.
Sure.
Right? But this has been years since I've been in college. Why am I having that dream anymore? And the other one is it's getting late in the afternoon.
Okay.
And I'm going to go try to get 9 holes in somewhere. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, I can't get everybody on board. Hey, guys, get in the car. Let's go. And it's always the daylight is draining away. And I'm like, this.
So I can never get anything accomplished in my dreams. If it's packing a suitcase, I can't do it. I'm always in slow motion. I don't know what it is.
All right. Well,
by the way, speaking of slow motion,
Yes.
Dylan, I am happy to help you with your taxes. I love doing taxes when there's that simple, so I am happy to help you.
I bet.
There you go.
I thought about becoming a CPA when I was in college. I wasn't sure what route I wanted to go, but I had lunch with a CPA, and she said, that's not the route you want to go.
You assume that Dylan does not have a bunch of side hustles where he's got these complicated
I can
income
handle
streams.
1099s. I can handle that.
All right.
You just got to show
CPA
a lot
and
of
training.
expenses. We have a great CPA, by the
All
way.
right. What's coming up on Helmets and Heels today?
We have one Foye Lewican coming in studio with us to chat about basketball. He's our basketball analyst on Helmets and Heels.
I
so
remember
we get
that,
Sweet
yeah.
16 tonight. Yep. So we'll do
tell him
that.
thanks a lot for Yale going out in the first round. You know?
I picked Yale. So
did I. That's
yeah.
why I'm being facetious.
Right.
Thanks for nothing,
Yeah.
Foye.
I'm sure he was heartbroken, but he is also a Kentucky fan. So big game for Kentucky as well.
Okay, interesting. All right, well,
Yeah.
we'll definitely be listening for that.
All
Have
the
a great
sports.
show.
All right. Thank you so much.
Happy opening day if you celebrate.
Well, the Rays
most
don't play until
normal people.
tomorrow. And
Oh,
yes,
y'all are
technically
the two
opening day.
teams.
Yes.
You're at the game with the two teams that are playing.
You're in our minor league. ball.
Rockies, Rays, yes.
Jeez.
Steinbrenner.
Talk about redheaded stepchildren. Sorry, redheads, but
Yeah, and stepchildren.
yes,
Especially
stepchildren.
redheaded stepchildren. By the way, I also really enjoyed y'all's conversation with Brian Sexton. I'm going to play a couple clips from him, and we also have Ryan Roberts joining us to talk all things NFL draft as well. So
Awesome.
Lots of stuff coming up over the next 2 hours.
Have a great show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lauren Brooks, of course, along with Taylor Dahl and Mia O'Brien. Helmets and Heels coming your way next. Thanks to Brian Sexton for joining us tomorrow. Demetrius Harvey will join us on the phone. Tom McManus will be in studio, and we'll roll it all back for another 2 hours. For Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark, enjoy opening day if it is your team's first opportunity to get on the diamond today, 4 weeks out from the NFL draft. This has been Jaguars Today on 1010XL 90.